Calgary real estate market just experienced a 19% drop in sales compared to last year, but prices are still up. I'm breaking down what these contradictory signals mean for you and your family's future. Now, we saw a 19% drop in sales, which was a 2,159 sales last month versus 2,658 in March 2024. However, at the same time, we saw the benchmark prices for detached homes increase by 4%, semi-detached homes increase by 5%, townhomes or row homes increased by 2%, and apartments increased by 3%. Calgary families are caught in a transitioning market with conflicting signals. Inventory is growing dramatically, but prices are overall increasing. So let's look at the data. Oh, and if you're a licensed agent in Calgary who does about 5 to 10 deals a year and is looking to grow your business in a stagnating market and working with a great team, you're going to want to hear my offer later in this video, so stay tuned. So as you can see in the charts, we have all of the data in from last month, and well, this is standing out to me quite clearly. So that blue line is our inventory number. Now, we ended last month with the inventory about 5,154. Now, that is literally up 102% year over year. If you look last year, I don't know, somewhere in there, but a really big difference. Now, if you remember one of the last market videos, we were talking about basically the population size of Calgary compared to what it has been in the past, and where does that kind of balance market sit? Because we are still sitting in a potentially seller's market, or flirting in that range, but yet we're seeing kind of inventory jumping like this. So again, if we end up seeing this blue line jumping up into this range, where we're kind of in a 6,500, 7,000, that is probably going to indicate that we are in a balanced market. If we get up in this range, where we're closer to 10,000 listings, well, that could clearly show us that we are moving and are in a seller's market in our city. So everything's bumped up a little bit because we got so many more people here in the city. Now, the growth of sales has gone up from last month, but it is down from last year, like I said. And the benchmark price up here did increase up to $592,500, which is about a 1% overall month-over-month growth. So we are seeing things kind of all over the place. It's like a transitioning market, you know what I mean? So when we look around the city here, you can see that a lot of the areas here, and here, so east, city center, northeast, and north all decreased their benchmark prices year over year. And the largest one, I believe, was city center at 1.8% year over year drop. Now we are seeing northwest increase 0.9. We're seeing the west side increase 1.8, south 1.2, and southeast 0.8% increases. So everything is kind of in this transitionary phase that we're going through right now. And it's kind of hard to fully understand really what's going on. So if you're a real estate agent, you might have been only in the business for the last 4 or 5 years. I want to give you an opportunity. We are needing more agents on our team. We have a lot of opportunities, but we're only looking for 2 to 3 agents that are a great fit. We are looking for people who have an existing business. You have been in the business for 5 or so years, maybe 3 years, but you're doing about 5 to 10 transactions a year, and you are looking to figure out how this market is working and how to grow into a 20, 24, 30 deals per year. That is what we're looking for. So if that's you, jump into the description and find a link for my contact and let's chat. So as you can see here, we had a lot of new listings come on the market, which is actually very welcomed. We are needing more listings coming to our market. And as you can see, that really jumped compared to last month, where we have over 4,000 new listings come on the market, which is also a 27% year over year increase. Now, what we could expect going into the spring. So here's the reality of things. We've got Trump and tariffs that are happening this week, right? We have our political insecurities and debates and everything that's happening with an election coming up. And then we have interest rates and we have all of these things. And what's interesting is the news. Like, do you remember when all the news was talking about was interest rates, and all we could watch was what is the interest rates going to do? Well, now we have an election on top of that, and we have Trump and tariffs on top of that. And all of that is kind of like the interest rate talk is kind of disappearing. And so what is happening, in my opinion, is we kind of have a slower start to this year where, well, let's look at this. If you go here, the number of sales hasn't necessarily increased like we have seen in other years. Even in the slower years down here, in this February-March range, usually you see a bigger uptick than what we saw last month. So I truly believe there's a lot of people that are kind of on the sidelines that are just don't know what's going on. And I'm with you in that, because we don't know truly what's going to happen with these tariffs. We don't know what's going to happen with our election this month. We don't know if all of a sudden the Liberals are back in power at the end of this month, if Alberta is going to start wanting to separate. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening in our world that we don't really have a lot of control over. And so what I believe is there's a lot of people who are just kind of taking it a little bit easier when it comes to making the change, making move ups, move downs, moving to our city, moving out of our city, whatever it is. There's a little bit of change there. And so when you look at overall inventory, that hasn't climbed that crazy. Even though it is 102% year over year growth, I mean, you have to remember, like 24, 23, these were like ultimate record low years for inventory. So yeah, we should have 102% growth. Like, that's okay. So don't be alarmed by when you see that number out there or use that as a fear thing of saying, oh, the market's going to fall apart, because it's not right now. And so all of the stuff we're talking about in this video and all the charts, there's way more charts when we break out the detached, the semi-detached, all of that. And there's so much more, including Airdrie, Cochrane, Chestermere. So if you're not on our email newsletter, then you're missing out, because we send this out to everyone every single month. And if you want to get this download as well as future months of these, then just quick jump in the description, grab the free guide, the free market update, and we'll continue to send that to you. But like I said, months of inventory. The months of inventory they're really having a hard time getting pushed into a balanced market. For months now, months upon months upon months, we have been sitting in this little pocket of between 2 to 2.5 months of inventory. So it's technically still a seller's market, but when we're looking at it, it's really wanting to move up there, but it's also not wanting to move up there. I don't know if that makes sense. And I'm talking like it's a breathing thing, but I guess it kind of is, because we are all breathing and we buy real estate and we're the ones interacting with it. So maybe it is breathing. I don't know. But when we look at the actual zones and we break out 30-day versus 90-day months of inventory for all the zones of the city, what do we see? Well, I'll tell you what I see. What do you see? I see every single zone getting better. Okay. So what I mean by this is, over the last 90 days, if you take the 90-day number compared to what is active today, that is your red number. And every single one is higher than the 30 days. So in the city center, we were at 3.5 months of inventory, but the 90-day one is 2.9. So things are actually speeding up. So what this tells me is our spring market is now coming. We didn't really see it before, but now we're starting to see the start of it. And once we move into this month, once we know what tariffs fully are going to do, once we know what the election is going to turn out, and once we probably see another interest rate drop, I think it's on the 16th of April. And once we see a few of these things happen this month, May, June, July is probably going to be our spring market. So that's what I see here, because every single zone, including the Northeast, the Northeast, everywhere. It's like, this is a really good one. The West, 2.6 down to 1.9. I mean, you've got the South Zone at 1.75 and 1.92, 1.93 in the Northwest. Like, these are really low numbers. So when we look at the inventory number and saying, 5,000 listings, we're still in a seller's market in a lot of the city. Now, this is going to really depend on price point, right? Because homes that are over a certain price point are going to be starting to move into that balance market a lot more, and other ones are definitely still in that seller's market, which I'm going to show you right now. So this here breaks out every single price range in our market. And then it's showing us the months of inventory. Now, this is the 90-day rolling months of inventory. So it gives us a little bit more data. It helps us understand exactly what's happening. And then it shows us the solds and the actives for the last month. And so what you can see, again, that 2.5 number, which is going to be kind of hard to come up with here, but I'm going to do my best. 2.5, roughly right around there. So that's 2.46, and I'd say that's pretty close. So anything under that line, so really right, I'm going to change color here, go to red. Right in this range, up to about $800,000 to $900,000 is kind of the flipping point right now. So anything under that is mainly in a seller's market. If you're looking at homes over 800 or 900, you're kind of moving into a balance market all the way up to $2 million. And then it moves into more of a buyer's market above 2 million, which is pretty crazy. So for the fact that that $1 million market is still in a balanced market, right? So in saying that, if you're looking for a home that is over $1 million, watch our luxury market update videos, because we dive into that market a lot more in detail. We talk about neighborhoods, we talk about things that are good, places that are not as good, but little plug there. But it's one of these things that when you look at the price ranges, most of the city is still in that seller's market. Now, I do want to show this one thing right here. This little section there, between 250 to 400. These are condos, right? And they are now, again, across the whole city, moving into a balanced market as well. It's a little bit of a segment that is just pushing up that's a little bit different than the rest. So one of the things that we were kind of looking at a little bit last year, at the end of last year, was the homes that are going off the market. Like, there was a real big spike of homes that went off the market. So if you look at this chart here, you can see this is what I was talking about. And this is from kind of September through January type kind of range. And we ended up seeing, so the yellow bar is how many homes went off market, so expired or terminated or withdrawn in that month. And then the blue line is how many sold. And like in December, it was almost on par. Like, I think it was like 98% or something like that, crazy. And so if you look last year at this time, we were sitting at about 12% of the sales went off the market. So what that says to me is that people were happy with their prices. They weren't necessarily trying to overprice their properties. And one of the biggest things that I am hearing from my team, who is in the trenches working with clients and doing transactions, is that there are still a lot of sellers who are hoping for last year's numbers to sell today. Now, prices have kind of flatlined. And I think what people are also thinking is, well, if it sold for, I don't know, 700 last year, I think I should be able to get 730 this year. Well, no. The market doesn't care what you hope for. Sorry. And at the end of the day, I think that's what's happening still in our market, because we were doing this and now our benchmark prices are kind of stagnant. So if we're talking about this here, what I'm noticing is there's still 39% of the places that are on the market are going off market compared to the sales, I should say. Now, is that just generally across the whole city? No. So if you look at the zones and we break it all out to the zones, there is a clear winner. Where is this taking place? It is taking place in the Northeast. Now, it's also taking place in the city center where we're at 50%. Northeast was 75, 76%. And the East zone is at 45%. So what's happening as the market shifts? You have to remember right here, the Northeast, let me see if I can erase all that. There we go. The Northeast has dropped 0.7%. The East has dropped 0.1%. And the city center has dropped 1.8%. And what did we just say? Those were the three areas where there are more properties going off the market than any other zone in the city. So there you go. Just so you know that, because I think that's really, really valuable and really important to understand. And what types of properties? Well, full duplex, there's only a couple of them. I'm not even going to count that in here. I just wanted to share that. But 57% of these are apartments, right? 57% of these are apartments. And then the next highest is only 35% being semis, rows, and then detached. So that's kind of an interesting way of understanding what's kind of happening, the mindset of sellers, and it kind of shows that we're in this shifting market. Again, we're probably not going to see crazy growth numbers over the next year or two. We don't know what's going to happen politically. We don't know what's happening in the future, and all we can do is respond to what is happening in front of us right now. Now, one number we have not talked about really that much over the last number of years is the list price to sale price ratio. And the reason for that is because at 100%, we had so many years where it was just over 100%. It didn't make a difference. But as the market is shifting and as we're now approaching a different market, this number is going to become more important. So historically, if you look at this is 95%. The number that you are looking at typically for what people are able to negotiate off the last list price is typically about 98%. So a 2, 3, maybe 4% drop in the last list price. So here is the key thing for you. If you are selling your property, you have to have your home within 2 to 3% of the sale price. You cannot have your home sitting 15% above, 10% above, and hope that someone will just write an offer for you. It doesn't work that way here. It never has. I don't know why. When I talk to agents in other cities and other countries, even the US and Canada, it doesn't work that way in their city. But for some reason, it does here. So knowing that is going to be very, very important. And if you want more help like that when you're selling your property, reach out to us because we got tons of tips like this from our 20 plus years of experience. So that's mine. If you combine our whole team, I mean, I don't even know. We're probably at like 50, 70, 80 years of experience. But regardless, it's one of these things that is really, really important to understand. And when you are trying to sell your home or you need to sell your home in a market that's shifting, you've got to have all the tools right in front of you. So finally, as we kind of walk into this year, I've said it a couple times, we've got tariffs, we've got elections, we've got interest rates, we've got a lot of things that are changing. The one thing that you need to look at if you want to have a balanced and a good real estate market in the future, like I do, is how many people are coming into our country and how many people are coming into Calgary and Alberta. Because that is the one thing that has really kind of messed up our market over the last number of years. And when I say messed up, I mean, it's not a sense of like a negative thing or a good thing. It's changed it. And a lot of people don't like change. So Calgary's on the map. People are moving to Calgary from out of country, from other provinces. And I want to show you the numbers. So Canada's population has grown by 744,000 people in the past year, which is down from 1.3 million people in 2024. But this is still one of the record years for population growth in our country. So that's going to change. I do believe that regardless of who gets in at the end of April, we are going to see the population growth go down. Because we need to. They've already said they're going to start capping it. The years moving forward, I think I've heard like mid 300 numbers, 300,000 people coming in, that kind of thing. So we might even see negative growth because of, it's a lot of like permanent status versus, anyways, work permits, all this stuff. So I'm not going to get into that. But what I do want to get into is Alberta still leads the country. 3.5% was the Alberta's annual growth. It's miles ahead to the rest of the country because people from here and here and a little bit of here still are all moving to Alberta. So after all those charts, there are 3 big takeaways that I want to share with you. The first one is families that are targeting the luxury market above that $800 million range, they're seeing a shift towards more balanced conditions, while entry-level homes under 500, 600 still remain relatively tight supply. Outside of that little blip of apartments, right, in that, I think it was 250 to 400 range. Now, if you're considering a detached home in a desirable school district, note that these areas typically maintain stronger demand regardless of the broader changes that are happening in our market. Now, lastly, first-time home buyers, if you're focused on the apartment segment, you are seeing the most dramatic inventory crease, right, out of all the different inventory types. So making sure that if you're going to buy a condo, that you buy something that is in a really good building, that has a great reputation, has a lot of good documents for you. And if you have found this helpful and you want more great information, you can jump up here and we'll see you in that video.